Hi, everyone. This is the SEBA call for June 25th, 2019. The only thing we have on the agenda right now is a review of the Jira items for the 2.0 release, and we're going to go over items completed since the last review. The current plan is to release 2.0 at the end of the month, barring any real blockers. And so the purpose of this meeting is mainly to go over what is might be blocking items in the current Jira. Also, note that these messages are public and recorded, and we publish them to YouTube. So I'm going to jump right into Jira. We have a huge number of things because we have about 100 items that were completed since May 14th, which is the last time we did a review. I want to go through these, but I think probably the more urgent item is to look at what we still have in progress and to do for the 2.0 release. So if we look over at the SEBA board and we look at the SEBA 2.0 version milestone, we have 36 issues still outstanding. Of these, 16 of them are in progress, and 19 of them are currently not in progress. Most of these are assigned, although some of them are not. Like these, mainly, I think they're releases of Onos and Volta, which are probably they're low point values, so they should be pretty easy to do. And I think we're fairly close to them getting these done. So I'd like to go through the in-progress items that are currently going on and see what the status is of those. So I'm going to just go in the order that they're shown here. So SEBA 690 is when a subscriber is updated, the OLT app needs to update the corresponding flows. This is assigned to Matteo. Matteo, can you speak to this?
Yeah, basically, we are not supporting update for the subscriber yet. This patch will solve that issue so that when, because of BAL, you cannot update a subscriber, but you need to remove it and create it with the new parameters, and it is what this patch is doing. There is a pending patch in Gerrit that is waiting for a review. It's not actually mandatory to do this for SEBA 2.0, but it is nice to have.
Okay, great. It sounds like it's pretty much done then.
Yeah, it just needs to be reviewed. I haven't had the time to review the patch that Ardik pushed last week yet.
Okay, thanks, Matteo. Moving on, 632, creating AAA or timeouts in the AAA app for sessions with no response from the Radius server. This was reported by Saurav, but is assigned to Vijay. Is Vijay on? I don't. Does anyone else? Can anyone else speak to this issue?
So, if I understand correctly, this is part of the Radius server stats, and basically we need to set timeouts in case a request started but never. But the packet never did the round trip to the Radius server and back.
Okay, so this is something within Onos?
Yeah, it's in the AAA application.
Okay. Alrighty. So let's. This is shown as in progress. So I'm going to make a note to. I'll ping Vijay and see what the status of this is. Okay, next item was operational status of the Radius server. This is also VJ, and it looks like it's an FCAS item as well. I'll ask him about that as well. And then 144 is operational status of the DHCP L2 relay. This is assigned to Marcelo. Is Marcelo on? Okay, so this is publishing statistics for the DHCP relay app out of Bonos. And I don't see a patch set for this, but it looks like there's some discussion going on. I'll also bring that up with Marcelo. SEBA 8, develop an agent to subscribe to alarms on Kafka and send them to DCAE. This is William Kirkian at and this looks like most of these are resolved, except for there's SEBA 86, which is a service to rewind the offset in case things need to be resent. So I don't see William on here, but I think these are all related to the VES agent. And I don't believe, I haven't seen much has changed on this recently. It last was updated earlier this month. So I'll follow up with William on that. Okay, SEBA 385, issues seen with physically rebooting an OLT power cycle. Suchitra reported this and it's assigned to Shad. Is Shad on?
Maybe I can speak to it.
Okay, thanks, Suchitra.
Yeah, so this is the issue that we have been monitoring about the physical reboot of OLT and the issues that we have seen. We are still testing it. Looks like the issue is not happening when Shad and Saurav tested it, but I still see it on our pod, on the QA pod, so we still need to investigate what's going on. So we might monitor this until end of this Friday to see what's going on this ticket.
Okay, thanks, Sujitra. The next item was SEBA 575, automation and test scenario, which involves admin, disable, enable of ONU from NEM. This is also yours, Sujitra.
Yeah, so this scenario is like the automation of the admin disable and enable scenario from NEM. Test case has been automated, but I plan to close it by end of this Friday because we are still in the phase of testing. And I think all the automation related tickets, we plan to do that the same, unless it is a specific scenario.
Okay, thank you, Sujitra.
Thanks.
SEBA 706, this is mine. This is a documentation update. Some of the documentation of what happens when an ONOS app loads and what to do as a workaround wasn't incredibly clear. I have a documentation patch that helps clarify this for people trying to debug a system. That's in progress. I should have a patch later, probably later this week. The next item was 669, authentication fails after removing subscriber. This was reported by Suchitra and Girish was working it. Is Girish on?
I can speak to it then. After removing the subscriber, the authentication fails, and there had been multiple patches for this to fix the issue. And finally, we have one more patch yesterday for the OLT app, and this is we just need to test it. Looks like the problem is fixed, just needs a verification on it.
Okay. Thank you, Sujitra. 670 is authentication after disable, re-enable of ONU fails intermittently, and this also was assigned to Girish. But Sujitra, can you speak?
Yeah, sure. This is, I think this is multiple times, as of I remember. I need to go back and see what's going on in this because I've been more following on the issues which are more higher priority. I can update the ticket if I see anything.
I think that this will be marked as a known issue in the release, that after a certain amount of time you enable and disable the subscriber, then BAL fails.
Oh, okay.
If I'm identifying it with the correct one.
Yeah, if it is the multiple disable enable, yeah, probably.
Do we have a section in the documentation for known issues?
Yeah, we have it. We haven't. We need to update it with the SEBA 2.0 known issues.
Okay.
And we'll probably need to remove some of the known issues for SEBA 1.0.
Okay. Do we have a ticket for that?
I'm not sure about it.
Okay. I'm going to make a note to update that. Okay, moving on. Thank you, Sutuja and Matteo. SEBA 443 update to newer ONOS 1.13.9.
Yeah, so I already have a patch ready for it. We're basically waiting to release ONOS 1.13.9 and Volta 1.7. This is just a patch to update the values in the Helm chart together with SEBA 444. It's a very simple one. It's just waiting for the upstream project to be released.
Okay, thanks, Matteo. The next item was 743, when subscribers deleted, the handle update method in model policy is called.
So this is something that we saw a couple times on one of the development pod. I spent an entire day last Friday trying to replicate it. I didn't manage to replicate it. I think it was just a timing issue with a DHC client running all the time. So it was renewing the lease. So it's not actually a bug in the code, and it will be resolved by SEBA 744.
Okay, and speaking of that, 744, when an IP is assigned to a subscriber, do not invoke the model policy.
Yeah. So when the DHCP server assigns an IP, ONOS sends out an event to Kafka with that information, so that we can store the IP in the subscriber for bookkeeping. But that was triggering a new update of the subscriber in ONOS and in Volta, while that shouldn't happen. There are two patches up in Gerrit for reviews. One has been reviewed, the other one is still pending, but it's probably going to be merged today.
Okay, that's great, Matteo. So the 744 will close 743 as well.
Yeah, so 743 is not actually an issue. Was just an environment thing, but it will be automatically resolved by 744.
Okay, that's great. Moving on, 752, a test broken in Volta 1.7.
So Volta 1.7 branch is what's going to go into the SEBA 2.0 release. Currently, the A tests on that branch don't run. I think Kailash was going to pick this one up and see if he could figure out what needs to be cherry picked from master where they do work into 1.7 branch.
Yeah, that's correct. It looks like the tests are behind, and in this branch in particular, there are some patches from master that need to be cherry picked over. So we need to work through which patches are required for getting these tests fixed. Unfortunately, they weren't running on the Volta 1.7 branch. So yeah, we need to determine what needs to go in there to start supporting this again. So yeah, I'm picking it up right now.
Okay, so I'll assign that to you, Matteo.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, and then SEBA 753 Volta 1.7a test not being run on Jira patch sets.
Yeah, so this came out of just the ticket before we were discussing. I just sent up a patch, and I think I merged it as well too. So you can go ahead and close this out, actually, Zach.
Okay. Alrighty, that's been closed. So if we look at the items that aren't in progress, I'm going to start going through these because so we can get to nothing in the backlog for the Volta 2. Or the SEBA 2.0 release. The first item.
Okay. Yeah, I can speak for SEBA 31 and 32. Actually, Ardik and Selva did all the job on this. The only piece that is missing is documentation that I'm going to work on today. Everything else is merged, and we're testing it with Suchitra, and it mostly working.
Matthew Silva here. Just to add to that, one bug is still in progress, one Jira. As part of it, I am making some corrections and testing. So the updating of the cache in the side subscriber, right? Whenever a subscriber is updated or deleted.
Yeah, we have a different Jira item for that.
Okay, right. Yeah, but we were thinking like it will be part of this story, right? So for tech profile, right?
Yeah, it's not really for the management of the tech profile. That part we can call it done. That's why it's a separate ticket.
Sure. Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah.
Oh, no problem.
So SEBA 31 and 32, should these be in progress or should we finish these?
They are not in progress yet. I'll start working on those today. I'll move them as soon as I start working them.
Okay.
But just to say is of those 10 story points, 9 are done. We just need to write documentation on how to push them to Tosca, what are the correct values, and basically to tell the operator how to configure the system.
Okay, that's great. SEBA 719, AAA statistics in the ONOS CLI. This is also VJ. I'll ping him again on these two.
Yeah, so basically VJ made a patch to collect statistics from the Redux server. That is already merged. And we are already publishing those information onto Kafka bus, and since yesterday showing them in Prometheus. We just want to have a CLI to show the same information in ONOS, and we also need a command to reset the counters.
Okay, it looks like there's a patch set that was uploaded on the 18th, and no one has reviewed yet. Is there someone who could take a look at this?
Yeah, you can add me to that patch.
Okay.
And maybe Saurav too.
Okay. Alrighty. SEBA 663 Volta 1.7 support in BBSim.
I can speak to this. Yeah, so with the latest BBSim, we are needing to support Volta 1.7, which includes all the tech profile stuff. So there needed to be a lot of OMCI message handling with BBSim to support this. So most of that work is done. Currently, there's actually a bug in BBSim where not all the ONUs get DHCP emulated. So if you can actually relate this bug, this Jira item to SEBA 754, which is the bug we're tracking down in BBSim. So once that's resolved, we'll close out this ticket as well too.
It was 754?
SEBA 754, yeah.
Okay.
Are you finding it?
Yeah, okay. Alrighty. So I related that.
Okay, cool.
Okay, great. Alrighty. So then SEBA 523 was the next one. Investigate issue authentication of 64 unused that are simulated with Volta 1.6.
Yeah, I think we can punt this out of SEBA 2.0 because we determined that we're gonna for SEBA 2.0 we're gonna support fully 16 ONUs. So this is gonna be another issue we're actually gonna need to investigate post SEBA 2.0. There was also another issue in the status server that there's some error handling that needs to happen in the status server when we bring up this many ONUs as well too, which we punted last week. I think this got left behind. So yeah, if we punt it, that's perfect.
I moved that to the future.
Okay, cool.
Alrighty. And then let's see here. SEBA 606, document prerequisites for service makefiles. This is Scott.
Yeah, I think this is a developer workflow thing. This is to document whatever developer needs to have installed in his system before running the makefiles on the various XOS services. So pip packages or app packages or whatever needs to be installed, just make sure it's documented.
Okay, great, Scott. SEBA 554 is Xproto field validation roles.
Yeah, so we added a new linting feature this release that checks Xproto to make sure the options are set up correctly. We need to document all of those lint rules in the Xproto guide so that people can understand how to format their Xproto if they get a linting error.
Okay, great. And I see we already have a document started on that. The next item is 609, XOS backup process documentation. This is me. We wrote a document, actually Scott did most of the heavy lifting on this, about the design decisions in the backup process. So this is to synthesize that document and the current process for performing backups and restores and those sorts of things. So I'm going to work on this and then probably have Scott review it.
Yeah, sounds good.
Alrighty, and then SEBA 732, update the SEBA in a box documentation. This is Andy.
Right, yeah, this is just the update for SEBA 2.0. There's been some new features added to SEBA in a box, like multiple OLTs and ONUs, and so we need to explain how to set those up in the docs.
Okay, SEBA 717, this is improve the offline installation.
Yeah. So the offline installation contains a lot of useful information if you are already familiar with Helm, Kubernetes, and the system in general. We tried to write it in a form that was general enough to cover all the profiles and all the use cases. But given the amount of questions we are receiving on the mailing list about it, we think it will be better to create like a step-to-step guide for SEBA so that you can execute some command, copy them from the guide, execute them on your machine and your pod, and you should arrive to a working system.
Okay, that's great. Do we have someone who could test this? I know we've had some interactions with various people out in the community. Do we want to see about having someone at ONF give this a shot? Like maybe one of the interns?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
We have a pod at ONF that can be easily brought offline. That is the demo pod we generally bring that shows it's self-contained, so we can just unplug it from the internet and see that everything works.
Okay, I think that would be a great sanity check. Okay, thanks, Matteo. SEBA 734 and 735 are both ONOS release related things, which I think we spoke about earlier. merging Volta patch master patches. So this is also related to getting the 1.7 branch working. Should this be assigned to, I think, was Kailash working on this?
Yeah, sure. You can assign it to me. I'm going to be picking that up today. Hopefully, we get all this fixed soon.
Okay. And the Onos release, who is this?
You can assign that one to me.
Okay. And I'm assuming Onos also can be assigned to you, Matteo.
That should be assigned to Sorav.
Okay.
That is basically someone going to Bagrade to press a button.
Okay. XOS service charts are up to date. Were you doing this, Andy, or was Scott doing this?
Yeah, I don't know that anybody's really doing that yet.
You had a script that was...
Right, yeah. I mean, you can go ahead and send that to me.
Okay. And then Volta 1.7. Who would be the person to handle this?
Either Sorav or Shad.
Okay. I'm going
Yeah, just a question on Andy's item that we just finished. Is that only the service charts? Do we need to bump the core charts as well? Is that a separate item or encompassed in this item?
I guess, yeah, the idea is that let's get the charts with the proper versions in them, so the core charts would also be included in that.
Okay, good.
Yeah, that we should make a ticket somewhere to also prepare a version of the macro charts we have, like the core platform and the SEBA chart.
Did we find that to be useful, or did we, especially, I know we had people using them, but one of the issues was that they were fairly static and they didn't update.
That's exactly what they are used for. They will just contain releases. They are not designed for development, but for someone that wants to install a released version, those are the way to go. So you can just install 3 charts instead of 27.
Okay, I'll make a ticket for updating the macro charts.
Because I think most people that just want to try out SEBA on their pod on a released version, that's the best way to go. You run 3 commands and you have a running system.
Okay. All right, and then I think over here releasing Volta 1.7, we wanted this to be either Shad or Sorav.
Shad or Sorav.
Okay, we'll assign it to Shad. And then SEBA 746. Sometimes NNI ports are not programmed. Sorav created this. So this looks like it's an issue related to SADIS. Is this the one that you were talking about earlier, Matteo?
No, so this is not really related to SEDIS. I haven't investigated it yet, but apparently the first time the OLT comes up, it cannot find the OLT serial number through SEDIS, even though that is configured in NEM. So we'll need to look at it, but Sorav was saying that this is absolutely not a blocker because that issue is resolved. It's automatically resolved by Onus the next time a port comes up on the logical device.
Okay, so it works out fine on a retry.
Yeah, it's mostly a cleanup thing. Because the first time the LT comes up, Onus sees it as a switch with a single port that is the NNI, and the flows are not configured for that port because of this bug. But as soon as one UNI port comes up to the switch, then the flows are correctly configured. So,
okay, I'm going to mark this down to lower priority, but yeah, I think if we get to this in the release, that's fine. If we don't, then I think that'll be okay.
Yep.
Alrighty, thank you, Matteo. And SEBA 748 releasing cord control. I think we've done this. Is that correct?
It's currently in dev version, so this is just updating, removing the dev version and committing the repo so we get a current release.
Okay. Alrighty, that sounds easy enough. And then SEBA 754, BBSIM's latest own use state is not transitioning. I think that we talked about this. It's related to this 663 issue.
Yeah, that's correct. So that's the issue we're working on in the BBSIM brigade. Currently, that's the only outstanding bug to support 16 own use. So we're working through that this week.
Okay. Well, this looks pretty good. We have 18 issues that aren't in progress. We have a total of about 35 issues. Most of these look like they're in some state of being done, or they're trivial release issues. Do we have any other things from the QA side that we need to do prior to release once everything has been tagged and incremented and that sort of thing?
Yeah, for the QA thing, we already had a bug scrub last Thursday in the QA call, the cord QA call, and we have identified the blockers for the release, and we also discussed about the testing plan. So the final, all the scenarios, whatever we had documented, and they are being tracked on. And by the end of Friday or by this weekend, we will be closing most of the automation related tasks. And testing will also be completed. And the next Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we will be focusing mainly on documentation and validation of this docs as well. But most of the bug fixes and the testing and validation will be completed by this week.
Okay, that's great. And it looks like the only thing that's a blocker right now is this SEBA 744. Is that correct?
I think, yeah, I guess so. Let me just quickly check, because we had already an issue. If you can go on the issues, and there is a filter that we had tracked for last week on the issues on the right on the top. Sorry, on the bar, the projects, dashboards, projects, and issues. Yeah, and there should be a filter. Bugs for 2.0.
Let me see.
I think you can go more. Yeah.
It might need to be shared.
I did a public on it.
Okay, so there's a public one. Bugs SEBA 2.0?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, so yeah, SEBA 744 is the only item that's in blocker status. And it looks like everything else is in progress. So.
Yeah, and then we are just going to monitor this list by this Friday.
Okay, that's great. Alrighty, now it's 9. It's about 40 minutes past the hour. I think we've gone over everything. We could also talk about. We have a list of 100 items that we've done that have been completed since the last review. Do we want to go through these, or do we feel like it would be better to? I'm thinking it might be better to spend our time working through the things in preparation for the release than going through all of the old work that has been completed.
Agreed.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree, and we'll never get through 100 of them anyway. So.
Right. Alrighty. Is there anything else? Any other issues that people would like to bring up prior to the 2.0 release, or just in general? Well, I'm going to thank everyone for the work that they did. That unfortunately we're not going to get a review, but
we can go through all of them if we spend only 12 seconds on each of them.
This sounds like that sounds like the right amount of time, but I think we'll skip that. Thank you, everyone, and we'll talk to you next Tuesday, hopefully with a release created. Thanks all. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Right. Thanks, Zach.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.